Number 7, Warriors, in Jesus' name. Chapter 7. Logan hung up the phone and turned with a smile. Who was that? Jojo. He just wanted to make sure I brought a pack with water and a jacket. It gets cool in the mountains. Bella nodded. Are you excited about going? Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Bella smiled. Her heart felt so very light. I'll tell you what. Sit down and eat your dinner, and afterward we'll run out and buy a new backpack for you. The one you have is old and small. Logan's eyes lit up. Really? Sure, and we'll stop and get some ice cream at Brewster's if you want. Logan smiled. Okay, it's a date, just me and my mom. Bella's eyes immediately welled with tears. Sorry, Mom, I didn't mean to make you cry. She shook her head. Or they're tears of joy, Logan. When did you become such a little man, huh? You're so grown up. She went to him and mussed his hair. You're a good son, you know that? You're a good mom, he said softly. Bella kissed his cheek. Okay then, Buster, get to eating. We have things to do. New scene. Have I told you how absolutely beautiful you are tonight? Joey asked. Breeze took another sip of wine before she slowly lowered her glass. You have, once or twice. He reached out and grabbed a curl that had fallen down behind her ear. He flicked the curl back and forth. Strange how your hair is so curly and your sister's hair is so straight. Breeze laughed. It's not so strange. My hair is as straight as hers. I had my hair permed several years ago and everyone loved it, and so I kept doing it. And now I'm so used to it, I've forgotten how I looked when it was straight. You said everyone loved it. Do you love it? She shrugged. Actually, I didn't at first. I liked my straight hair, and I was horrified when I first looked in the mirror and saw the massive curls. I cried for 2 days, and then I got used to it. Why did you do it if you liked your straight hair? Joey watched as her eyes turned sad. I wanted to be different from Bella. Why? I was angry with her. How could she let that jerk push her around like he did? I couldn't understand it then. I confronted her. I told her I knew what was going on, and she told me I was wrong and that I needed to mind my own business. Everyone used to say we were just alike, 2 peas in a pod, so I permed my hair as a statement. I am not like her. I am strong. I will never let a man push me around. Joey nodded. I understand how you felt, yet now you're no longer mad? She sighed. No. I wanted so badly to understand that I volunteered to work at a shelter for abused women, and I got to know them. I attended the group therapy sessions, and I began to understand the mindset. I began to understand how an abusive man manipulates his woman's emotions, makes her feel weak and dependent, and wreaks havoc on her self-esteem. And don't forget one of the major players, which is fear. It's easy to blame the woman. She's so weak. Why does she stay? Is she stupid? So let's put the blame where it belongs, on Gordon, Joey said. She fears him. She fears his ability to take away the only thing she loves. Fear is a powerful tool. In your sister's case, he may have lowered her self-esteem, or at least made her question it. But I believe she believes in herself well enough. It's the fear of losing her child, fear that he will hunt her down and kill her. But he could kill her now anyway. Well, she feels she can control the rage as long as she stays, but not if she leaves him. Then he'll have nothing to lose, so she will have pushed him over the edge. Breeze nodded. I hate him. I so want to blow him away. Understood. You know, though, my stepfather would tell you that vengeance is an extremely negative emotion. It serves no purpose. It will not help the victim, and it will not help you. It only helps to feed the hatred and the negativity in the world. We have to do what we can on the side of right, and the rest is between perps and God. Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. People do horrible things to other people, That's why I went to work for Ameritech, to become a warrior, to protect the innocent. It's the same reason Mark became a defense attorney, a different kind of warrior, but a warrior all the same. He defends the innocent. We don't do it to take revenge, just to help, never to hurt, only to do what we can in what sometimes feels like a crazy world. Breeze watched him speak, watched his warm brown eyes, his strong jaw, her eyes lowered to his broad shoulders. Even his forearms were ripped with muscle. He spoke not like the arrogant male she'd first thought he was, but like a saint, like a wise monk, like a warrior for peace. Someone had to be strong and take care of the bullies of the world, and that is what he does, but without malice. He does it out of love for humanity. He was magnificent. And even better, this magnificent man wanted her. Good grief, she thought, her heart pounding. Could she be falling in love with Joey Adams? New scene. Bella? Bella and Logan both startled before they turned to see who'd spoken. Mark, Bella said. Mark smiled and placed his hand on Logan's shoulder. Hey, Logan, good to see you. Hi, Master Mark. Is Jojo with you? He's in the parking lot. He saw a friend. Oh, Logan said. Go on out. He'll be glad to see you. I'm getting him a double chocolate banana boat. Would you like one? Oh, sure. Go ahead. Your mom and I will bring it out to you. Thanks, Logan said as he hurried out to see Jojo. Mark smiled down at Bella. Hope I didn't mess up your spending some quality time with Logan. Oh, no, Bella said quickly. I'm sure he doesn't mind a bit. And you? She blushed, which Mark found extremely attractive. No, I don't mind. She turned, moved forward in line, then turned back to face Mark. I can't believe we ran into you here. Well, Jojo and I were out doing some shopping, decided we need to get sick on ice cream. Bella laughed. Same for Logan and me, except we weren't expecting to go quite that far. Yeah, well, sometimes you just gotta let go and do it. You know what I mean? Bella nodded, wondering if he was speaking about anything other than ice cream. I guess Logan is excited about going biking with the boys. He is so happy to be going. It's nice to see him smile. I know what you mean. It's nice to see you smile, too. She looked down at her toes and back up into his eyes. Mark was lost. Was it possible for a woman to be so appealing that you wanted to go against everything you know, break every rule in order to be with her? She bit down on her lower lip and looked like she might say something, then stopped herself. What? He asked. I was just going to tell you that Gordon is out of town for the weekend. Mark smiled at her. I know. Oh, yes, I forgot. My house is wired. Gosh, I keep forgetting. I hope I haven't walked around in my birthday suit. If so, I'm sure Joey will be very discreet. Bella's face turned red. Mark couldn't help himself. He reached out and touched her cheek. I love it when you do that. Do what? Blush? She put both hands to her cheeks. Mark smiled and nodded behind her. She turned and moved up in line and turned back again and smiled. It feels weird, you know, being out and about without Gordon. By weird, I hope you don't mean you're feeling guilty. Guilty? Of course not. What do I have to feel guilty about? I think you might feel guilty that you're out having fun and smiling and feeling a little happy because your husband isn't here to keep you from it. Nonsense. I have every right to go out and get my son and I an ice cream. Absolutely. But if he knew you were here with me, there would be hell to pay, huh? Her eyes moistened. Yes, and you know that, so why bring it up? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to upset you. I just wanted you to know that it's okay that we're here together. It's okay, Bella. We're going to get you out of that situation, and when we do, I intend for there to be many nights like this. Please don't say things like that. You do know that Gordon is in Bakersfield with another woman. She shook her head. It doesn't surprise me, and I don't care. She can have him. Well, I'm glad that news doesn't hurt you. That tells me you truly don't have any feelings for him. He killed everything I once felt. Now I only feel dread and fear. That's why I want to protect you, Bella. I don't want you to ever feel fear again. Why? Why do you care? She demanded. And the moment she asked, she realized why she asked. Because she wanted to hear it one more time. I care for you, Bella. He smiled. I think you know why. I told you before. I care for you and Logan. And I'll tell you something else. When the time is right, when you're free of Gordon, both legally and emotionally, I intend to pursue a relationship with you. I want you, Bella. May I help you? Bella turned abruptly. Mark stepped forward and ordered 2 double chocolate boats, a strawberry milkshake, and nodded at Bella. What would you like? I'll just have a vanilla cone. Make that a double vanilla, Mark said as he pulled out his wallet. Bella allowed him to pay because she knew it would be futile to argue with him about it. The young man who took their order smiled as he handed her the cone. She nodded at him, and Mark picked up both banana boats. Would you mind grabbing my shake for me? He asked. Come on, let's go find the boys. They found them in the parking lot with a couple of kids Bella remembered being at the belt party. Mark doled out the treats. Thanks, Dad, Jojo said, looking at some chocolate that dripped from the side. You're welcome. Bella and I are going to go sit over there at the sidewalk tables. You can come or you can stay with your friends, but you can't get into trouble. Which is it? Well, if I can't get in trouble, then we better come with you, Jojo laughed. The 4 of them made their way over to a vacant table. They ate their ice cream and talked about the canyons where the boys would go biking, talked about tomorrow morning's class, talked about Logan being a red belt and how far he'd come in a short time. Mark told funny stories about some of his worst students and had all of them laughing. He teased Bella about her lack of coordination and consoled her that she was definitely not the worst. Sorry. He didn't miss the way Master Mark looked at her, and suddenly the long aching came, a deep aching desire to stay like this forever, to have Master Mark and his mom get together, to have Jojo for a brother, to have family times together, laughing and teasing, and never ever have any worry that Master Mark would suddenly get angry and use his fists on his mother. Wouldn't it be heaven? Did he dare to even hope for something so wonderful? Would it ever be possible? It was possible. It had to be. Just look at his mom licking her ice cream cone, her eyes all lit up. He had to make it happen. He looked over at Jojo. Hey, Jojo, isn't that Maya over there with those girls? Jojo turned and looked. Looks like it. You want to go say hi? Logan smiled. Sure. Stay out of trouble, Mark cautioned. I promise, Dad. You know you've been awfully protective since Eric got his head bashed in. Gee, go figure, Mark replied dryly. Bella laughed as she watched the boys cross the parking lot and meet up with a group of girls. They're growing up, she said softly. Mark watched her. Yes, they are. You're dripping. Bella turned, quickly looked at the cone. Mark had to fight himself as he watched. He wanted her, and he knew it wasn't right, but he couldn't seem to help it. She smiled at him. Everyone else is finished. I've always been a slow eater. My mother used to complain at me constantly. She shrugged. I guess I just like to savor each exquisite taste, each exquisite moment. He swallowed hard. She held the cone out to him. Would you like some? I don't think I could eat any more. He would normally have turned it down, but the intimacy of eating after her had him intrigued. He took the cone from her, licked the places she'd licked, then took a giant bite, bringing the ice cream down even with the cone. Well, you made short work of that, huh? He smiled as he finished the cone. I did. He reached out and took her hand. She tried to pull away, glancing quickly around her. No one is watching us, Mark said. Rubbing his thumb back and forth across her wrist, he looked deep into her bright blue eyes. She trembled, and he realized that she was frightened. Don't be afraid, Bella, he said softly. You know I would never hurt you. She nodded timidly. Yes, I know. It's just that I guess I'm just imagining what would happen if Gordon came back early, if he walked up right now with you holding my hand. Well, first, if he came back early, we would know. because Joey has an agent tailing him, and he would let Joey know immediately if Gordon was on his way back, and Joey would let me know. Oh, she sighed. Oh, well, that's nice. He smiled at her. Yeah, it's pretty convenient. Second, even if he did walk up right now, do you think I would let him do anything to you? Oh, he wouldn't do it in front of you. He'd wait until we got home. Well, there's an easy solution for that. Well, by all means, let me in on it. Don't go home with him. She snatched her hand away. I told you, I need time. I know, and I understand. But I want you to know that soon Joey will have enough evidence to make sure Gordon does not get Logan in a custody hearing. When that time comes, I want you to promise me that you'll take action. She looked out toward where her son stood laughing and talking with kids his own age. It was so wonderful to see him having a good time, and she glanced back up at Mark. What does he have? He has candid statements from you and Logan attesting to the abuse you've suffered at his hands. He has tapes of the constant verbal abuse. He has video of him hitting you in the face and then dragging you by your hair out to the pool. He has video of Gordon accosting your sister, threatening her and choking her. And when? When did he do that to Breeze? Wednesday evening, after you and Logan left for your martial arts class. She shook her head. I didn't know. He patted her arm. I'm sorry. They also have video of him bopping some woman in your living room and then taking her upstairs. Bella swallowed hard. Well, I don't care about that. Well, I do. Grounds for divorce, Bella, and you're the injured spouse. It sounds like a lot, but it's not. He'll still get custody, and if he doesn't, he'll come looking for me. Well, he'll have to come through me to get to you. And I say, bring it on. Her mouth pressed tightly closed. How very macho of you. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it like that. I guess I'm just frustrated too, Bella. I want you out of there because you want me. I want you out of there because I care about you and Logan. Even if you told me right now that you and me will never ever be, I still will do anything to make sure you're safe. Sighing, she held her hand out to him and allowed him to take it again. I'm sorry, Mark, for being so hard to deal with. I'm so confused. I don't know what to do, and I think about you, Mark. I imagine what it would be like to have you. I've relived that kiss 1,000 times a day, every day since. Me too. If only circumstances were different. But if only is a dangerous game, she said. His eyes on hers, he slowly lifted her hand and placed a gentle kiss in her palm. Circumstances will change, sweet Bella, and when you feel ready, I'm going to be there for you. I'm going to show you how it's supposed to be between a man and a woman. I'm going to make slow, sweet love to you. I want to see you happy. She closed her eyes against the tears and the longing. The man she'd been fantasizing about for the past 2 years was telling her he wanted her, and all she had to do was get out of the abusive marriage she was trapped in. For just 1 second, she dared to hope that it really could be true. New scene. Wow, nice place you have, Joey. Joey tossed the keys on the table by the door and placed Breeze's bag on the floor. Thanks. Breeze walked slowly around the loft apartment, fingering an expensive-looking chessboard displayed on a glass table between 2 chairs, running her hand over books on a shelf, feeling the heavy drapes and caressing the back of the large sectional sofa. Very masculine, dark, strong, kind of like you, Joey snorted. What, you don't think you're any of those things? He moved forward and slipped his hands around her waist. I'll concede that I'm strong, and I believe I've proven my masculinity, but I could hardly be called dark. Breeze giggled. I guess I was being dramatic. She cuddled up against his chest. Did I tell you how much I enjoyed dinner tonight? He rubbed his cheek over her hair and moved close to her ear. Many times. Did I tell you how much I enjoyed having dinner with you? She shook her head. Well, I meant to. She pulled away and went to examine an abstract painting hanging above a desk. He followed, standing close behind her, waiting for her appraisal. You may not be dark, but this painting is dark and dangerous. The colors are rich. There's movement like someone running, fear maybe, sound like the beating of a heart. It's well done, very well done. She bent slightly to examine the painter's signature. JFK? Kennedy was an artist? Joey chuckled. June Flower Kino, my sister. Really? How old is she? She's 20. She did this painting earlier this year. She was going to destroy it, but I asked her if I could have it because I like it. I like its emotional impact. Why would she want to destroy it? Well, she painted it in response to a breakup with her boyfriend, someone she'd been with since she was 15, and it devastated her. Poor kid. I know how she feels. Still, she's an amazing artist. She says she dabbles. I hope she's doing this dabbling full time. She's really good. No, not full time. She's actually a doctor. A doctor? A medical doctor? Among other titles. Didn't you say she's only 20? Yeah, she's a very special kid. High genius level IQ. She's an amazing scientist. PhD this and PhD that. And she paints. Yes, and composes and plays piano. Breeze turned to face Joey and placed her arms around his neck. How very interesting. I would love to meet her. You will, tomorrow. Ah, yes, tomorrow. Time to meet the parents. Do you think your mother will like me? I'm sure of it. How do you know? Well, she likes everybody, and everybody likes her. And your father? Well, my father lives in San Francisco, so you won't get to meet him tomorrow. However, you will meet my stepfather, Eric Kino, and he'll like you too. Joey put in before she could ask. Do I sense some trepidation on your part? She shrugged. Maybe little. I mean, my parents are gone. I've had no one to answer to for some time now, except myself, I guess. Bella and Logan are all that's left for me as far as immediate family. Believe me, you don't have to answer to my parents. I just want you to meet them so that you can know me better. And why do you want me to know you better? Smiling, he pulled her down onto the sofa and leaned over her. Because I think you are an amazing woman, Breeze, and I want to have a relationship with you, a real relationship. I want you to know that I'm here for you, and that even though you feel alone, you're not. You have me, and that means you have my family. That's the way it is with us. I don't know, Joey. I truly love being around you. I truly love being with you. Still, I don't know if I'm ready for a real relationship. I don't want to have to hate you later. Well, you can't go through life afraid to experience things for fear it may not turn out well. You have to take some chances, Breeze, or you'll be lonely for the rest of your life. New scene. Saturday morning dawned bright and beautiful. Bella rolled over in her bed, kicked all the covers off, and spread her arms and legs out as far as she could stretch, taking up as much space as possible. It felt so good to be all alone. This certainly wasn't the first time Gordon had gone off for a weekend, yet today seemed different somehow. Maybe because she knew he wasn't going to come home early and surprise her. She would be notified when he's on the way. Maybe it's because Logan is about to go off on an outing that he truly wants and deserves. Or maybe it was because she felt like a real person again. A woman who was desired and wanted. Her mind went to where it had been dwelling lately, to the all-too-brief kiss she'd shared with Mark. He told her last night that he thought of it too. She licked her lips and gathered a pillow to her chest and hugged it. I am a person of worth, she thought. I am not pathetic. I am not lazy. I am not stupid. I care for you, Bella. Closing her eyes, she allowed herself a brief fantasy. Mark appears at the door of her bedroom. She sits up and reaches out to him. He moves slowly toward her, turns and locks the door. You're so very beautiful, Bella, he says reverently. He is magnificent. He takes her in his arms, lays her back on the bed, kisses her, and then whispers, "I love you, Bella." The knock on the door brought her out of it, and panicked, she jumped from the bed. "Mom, are you awake?" Patting her chest to calm herself, she drew a breath and smiled. Yes, Logan, I'm up. I'll be right out." Okay. Sorry for the little delay. New scene. Mark held the kicking pad lower and nodded at Bella. "Okay, we'll try this. Go ahead, front kick." Bella stepped forward, snapped out her leg, and was surprised by the popping sound the pad made, which meant she actually made contact with it. "Good. Okay, try again. 3 with your right leg, 3 with your left." She missed the second one on each leg, but he still praised her. She smiled up at him, and he smiled back warmly and kindly. "Very good. Now we'll change to a roundhouse." He adjusted the pad to a vertical position and nodded at her. Biting her lip, she tried to swing her leg around. She not only missed, but almost fell over. Mark rose up and motioned to Jojo, who'd been in one of the other lines, waiting his turn to kick. "Hold the pad for her, Joe, while I try to help her with her form." Jojo bowed slightly. "Yes, sir." He took the pad and held it. "First, watch me," Mark said. He turned and performed a roundhouse in slow motion. "Notice the hip rotation," he said as he did it again. "Now, at full speed." He knocked the pad out of Jojo's hand. "Sorry, sir," Jojo muttered as he retrieved the pad. Mark stood behind Bella and placed his hands on her hips. "Stand straight and balanced. Good." One hand moved around to her abdomen, the other touched her right thigh. "Lift this leg." Good. With her thigh in his large hand, he pushed her leg around to show her the movement and the path. As Jojo held the kicking pad, he watched Mrs. Landau. Her face had turned a bright pink. Jojo kept a straight face, but his eyes met Logan's across the room. Logan had a smile on his face. Jojo looked back up at his father, whose eyes never left Mrs. Landau. This was pretty cool. Last night, he and Logan had talked privately. Jojo had sworn an oath to Logan that he would not disclose to anyone the things Logan told him. Jojo had insisted on one exception, his father, and that would be only if Jojo believed there to be a life and death situation. They hadn't had much time to discuss details, but bottom line, Logan hated his own father because he hurt his mother. He wanted his mother to divorce him, and he hoped that somehow his mother would be interested in Jojo's father. Totally cool as far as Jojo was concerned. Bella's body was thrumming. Mark's hands felt hot and heavy everywhere he touched her. It was no big deal. She'd seen him work with many of the students in this way, but with her, each touch seemed to linger. Each touch caused her heart to race. She gave in to the temptation and looked up at his face. His eyes bore into hers. His breath seemed labored. She felt drawn to him and had to resist leaning into him. It seemed time stilled as they stood looking into each other's eyes. Dad, Master Mark, would you like me to have the class move on to the final stretches?" Mark drew a quick breath and gave himself a mental shake. "Thanks, Jojo, I'll do it." He walked toward the front of the room. "Okay, class, line up." "Yes, sir," came the expected reply from all present. Mark spoke to them briefly, took time to praise a few who needed some bolstering, reminded them to come prepared to spar on Wednesday night, and led them through a final stretch before he dismissed the class. At his desk, he accepted a few payments from students' parents and chatted with them until they finally took their leave. He looked up to see Bella just coming out of the dressing room. She wore jeans with a lacy pink blouse and white athletic shoes. Her shiny black hair was still up in the ponytail, but strands had come down all around her face, and she looked utterly feminine. Jojo and Logan emerged from the boys' dressing room, dressed in their shorts and t-shirts, their backpacks in one hand, their martial arts uniforms in the other. "Mom, will you take my uniform home for me so I don't have to carry it in my pack?" Bella smiled. "Of course. Are you excited?" Logan shrugged nonchalantly. "Sure." Jojo placed his uniform on the desk in front of Mark. "Ditto for me, Dad." "Got it," Mark replied. The door to the studio opened, and Taylor Keno walked in. Bella couldn't help but stare at the beautiful child. She had waist-length, slightly wavy, dark brown hair, eyes that appeared green or gray, depending on the light, an adorable turned-up nose, beautiful mouth, and the golden brown skin of her father's heritage. "Hi, Taylor," Mark said. She smiled and ran to him and gave him a hug. "Hi, Uncle Mark." Mark glanced toward Bella. "Do you remember Taylor? She's Rick and Bree's youngest." Bella smiled sweetly. "I do remember. I met you at the belt party. I don't think I could forget such a beautiful little girl." Taylor smiled. "Thank you. I remember you too." "So where is everyone?" Mark asked. "Dad dropped me off to tell Jojo and Logan that we're here and they can come out to the car." "And why didn't he send Eric in?" Taylor grinned. "'Cause he has to have a little talk with Eric." "Oh, I see," Mark said. "I wonder what he did now." "He yelled at me." "No, tell me it's not true." "It is true." "Well, why did he yell at you?" "Because I was looking in his backpack." Mark frowned at her. "You know, that's his personal property." "Yes, I know. That's the same thing Dad said, but still, Eric shouldn't have yelled at me. He hurt my feelings." Bella pressed her lips together to keep from smiling. "Well, they don't seem very hurt," Mark said. Smiling, she only shrugged. "Can we go on out, Dad?" Jojo asked. "Yes, and don't run. Walk with Taylor." Logan hugged his mother goodbye. "Have fun," she said softly. "I will." He turned to shake Mark's hand. "Be safe," Mark cautioned. "Bye, Dad. Bye, Ms. Landau," Jojo said. Jojo and Logan ran toward the door. "Walk," Mark commanded. Logan stopped, turned, and held the door open for Taylor. The 8-year-old girl looked up at him dreamily as she walked past. Mark chuckled. Logan may have just made a fatal mistake. "What's that?" Bella asked. He treated Taylor like an equal. She'll be gaga over him now for at least, I'd say 2 weeks. Bella laughed as she hitched her bag over her shoulder. "Well, I'd better get going." Mark rose. "Have lunch with me, Bella." Flustered, she clasped her hands together. "I don't think that would be a good idea." "Why not?" "Because I'm a married woman. My husband is out of town. How would it look?" "Do you have $1?" "Huh?" $1. Do you have one?" She opened her bag and looked in her wallet. "Yes," she said as she pulled it out. "Give it to me." She handed him the $1. "Well, that's my retainer fee. I'm now officially your attorney. You would be having a business lunch with your attorney." Smiling, she shook her head. "Sorry, Mark. I can't do it. Besides, I have too much to do at home." "Like what?" he asked, even though Joey had already told him. "Gordon gave me a huge list of things to do while he's gone, and they have to be done. I was able to get to some things yesterday, but what I have left to do will probably take me all day and most of the night. I have no time to do lunch or anything else. As a matter of fact, I probably shouldn't have come to class this morning, but I couldn't help myself." "So, he gives you work to keep you occupied while he's off screwing some blonde bimbo." He caught himself too late. "Oh, sorry, that was crude." Bella blinked and sighed. "It is what it is. I have to do it." "Or what, Bella? What will happen if you don't?" I I don't know." "Well, I do." He moved fast, coming around the desk, taking her by the shoulders. "And you do too. I want you out of there, Bella." "I know. I do too, but—" "No buts. I want you out. Bella, I can't stand the thought. He looked into her eyes, wide now with fear and sadness and anger. He pulled her against him and cradled her head against his chest. "Oh, Bella," he crooned, "what am I going to do? How can I help you if you won't help yourself?" She sniffed and looked back up at him. He had her face cradled in his hands. He lowered his head. She couldn't help it, couldn't resist the temptation. She lifted her face and waited for the touch of his lips. It was gentle. He barely touched her, nipping softly at her bottom lip. Once, twice. "Sweet Bella," he murmured. "My sweet Bella." He said again, emphasizing the "my," and then his mouth covered hers, slow, warm, and sensual. He gave a soft groan and her stomach jumped. She found herself wanting to make him do it again, make that masculine sound deep in his throat, a sound of pleasure. Her hands ran over his chest. She wanted to tear his uniform off him. Instead, she clutched at the material. The soft kiss turned hard, and she realized somewhere in her brain that she had power over this wonderful man whom other women would love to have, and it made her feel wonderful. Abruptly, he released her. He ended the kiss and rested his forehead against hers. Geez, Bella, I'm sorry. It's okay, she whispered. And it was. How could she tell him that it was exactly what she wanted, what she craved, and more? She wanted more. No, it's not okay. He set her back from him. Suddenly, she felt embarrassed. She'd practically thrown herself at him. How needy was that? One minute, she was telling him she couldn't have lunch with him, and the next, she's offering herself to him. What must he think of her? She stood tall and straightened her blouse. Well, I guess I feel quite foolish. Oh no, it's not that, Bella. I really need to go. I'll see you next Saturday. Turning quickly, she hurried out the door. Bella, wait, Mark pleaded. She didn't stop. Sighing heavily, he picked up a pencil from the desk and threw it across the room, then quietly cursed. New scene. As usual, Breeze opened the car door before Joey could get to it. She stepped out and looked up at the sprawling mansion. Very nice. This is where you grew up? Since I was 7. Before that, my mother, brother, sister, and I lived in a tiny little 3-bedroom split level back in Atlanta. Georgia? So much I don't know about you. My mother met Eric at a martial arts tournament. He took her on as his student. They fell in love, and presto changeo, here we are. He took her elbow. Let's do this. Joey led her up the wide circular steps, opened the large, deep red front door engraved with gold Chinese script, and ushered her into the home. Mom, he called the moment they stepped inside. Shelley Keno came running out of the kitchen. Oh, I'm so glad you're here. She hugged Joey and kissed his cheek. Mom, I'd like you to meet Breeze Sheridan. Breeze, my mom, who will insist you call her Shelley. Breeze smiled and held out her hand. Hello, Shelley. It's nice to meet you. Nonsense, Shelley said, bypassing the hand and hugging her tightly. I'm so happy to meet you. She let her go and took her hand. Come in, come in. Eric and I were just coming in from a walk on the beach. He stopped to take care of a potted fern that fell over near the pool. Please have a seat. Can I get you anything? No, thank you. Joey just finished feeding me a huge breakfast. Shelley smiled at her son. He does love to cook. Breeze took a moment to look the woman over. She could see Joey in her, the light brown hair back in a braid that ended between her shoulder blades. Her face was young, smooth, her eyes large and brown like Joey's, and her smile warm and full of love. She wore shorts and a tight tank top with running shoes. Shelley smiled sweetly. Do you mind if I just come right out and say that you are very beautiful? Thank you, Breeze answered smoothly. Actually, I was just about to say the same thing to you. Oh, oh, well, isn't that nice? Thank you. I can see where Joey gets his good looks. He is a cutie, isn't he? Joey rolled his eyes. So, Mom, you said you were walking on the beach. Are you or Eric ill or injured? No. Why? Well, I've never known either of you to just walk on the beach. Run sprints? Yes. Jog? 3 or 4 miles? Yes. Walk? No. Okay, so we ran a few miles. Still, we walked the last 100 yards or so for a cool down. However, for your information, Smarty Pants, we do take long romantic walks on the beach. Breeze watched their interaction, watched the love in Joey's eyes. He was a good man. Any man who loved and respected his mother the way Joey did had to be a good man. She looked up at Shelley. So, Joey tells me you do the martial arts thing, too. I do. It's very empowering. It makes me feel not quite so vulnerable. Breeze nodded. I guess that's why my sister takes it with her son, though I don't think it's doing her much good. Sighing, Shelley leaned over and patted Breeze's hand. I've met Bella and Logan. They were here for a party not long ago. She's very sweet. Too sweet, Breeze added. Maybe, if that's possible. She is who she is. Well, maybe if she were tougher, she wouldn't find herself in the situation she's in. Breeze stopped herself. Sorry, I didn't mean to bring it up. It's just always there near the surface. It's no problem, Shelley said. I understand, and I know a little about her situation. I know it's hard, seeing someone you love going through what Bella's going through. I sense that you're a little angry with her, and she isn't tough enough to stand up to her husband. I sense that you're a little angry with her that she isn't tough enough to stand up to her husband. Maybe, maybe I am. Well, everyone is different. Some people are simply gentle souls. Unfortunately, those people are the ones taken advantage of by the cowards of the world. Still, as frustrating as it is, we must remember who is really at fault. It's not Bella, it's her husband. Now you seem to be a fighter. That she is, Joey put in. Well, it's good Bella has you on her side then. Bree smiled sadly. I guess you're right. It's not often that she isn't, Eric Keno said as he entered the room. He moved forward and offered his hand to Breeze. Hello, I'm Eric. Nice to meet you. Eric smiled warmly. And I you. Breeze couldn't help but stare. The man was magnificent. She knew he was the father of Ricky Keno, who was like 40-something, so this man was probably in his 60s. He had long, thick black hair that was pulled back at the nape of his neck and streaked with gray at the temples. His skin was a dark bronze, his body a rock-solid wall of muscle and sinew. He wore nothing but shorts and some running shoes. Well, we just finished running and I'm in need of a quick shower, so if you'll excuse me, I'll just run upstairs. No problem, Eric. I'll show Breeze around, Joey said. Eric turned to his wife and held out his hand and smiled slyly. Would you like to come up and scrub my back? Joey groaned. Shelley giggled. Breeze grinned. You know I would, Shelley purred. Joey rolled his eyes. Just go, please. Be right back, Shelley said as she raced her husband upstairs. Yeah, right, Joey called after them. They are wonderful, Bree said once they were alone. Still so in love. They have what I aspire to have. They both seem so young. Constant training, both physically and spiritually, it's like a fountain of youth. I like them. I'm glad you do. Come on, I'll show you around. They walked the large mansion while Joey told stories from his life. As he spoke, Breeze realized he was very deep, very sensitive, very spiritual, and very serious. He'd come across that first day as being cocky and shallow. She had completely misread him. She didn't hear the music until they'd stepped onto the downstairs landing, and even then it was very muted. Is someone playing the piano? Could only be Jeffy. Come on, I'll introduce you. Joey ushered her down the hall and opened a large white door at the end. Suddenly, the music overtook them. Bree stood mesmerized as she watched a beautiful girl playing the music of angels. The girl was slim, had long, curly, dark hair and golden skin. Breeze couldn't see her eyes because they were closed. She listened in ecstasy until the piece was finished. The moment she played the last note, Jeffy opened her eyes. Joey, it's so good to see you. She stood and rushed to hug him. Joey wrapped his arms around his little sister. I know you didn't miss me a bit. You're too busy to have time to miss anyone. She frowned. That's not true. She rose up and kissed his cheek, broke away, and turned to Breeze. Hi, I'm Jeffy. You must be Breeze. I'm so glad Joey brought you home so I can meet you. He's usually so secretive about who he's seeing. That means you are pretty darn special. Jeffy, you want to shut it up now? Bree smiled. This beautiful little chatterbox was a doctor and a scientist. That was a lovely piece you were playing, Beethoven, Moonlight Sonata, right? Oh, yes, it's one of my favorites. I love Beethoven. Love him. I saw one of your paintings at Joey's place. It was amazing, Bree said. Jeffy frowned. Oh, yeah, that one. A bad time. She shrugged. Joey likes it for some weird reason. I like it too. It captures so much emotion. Yeah, I guess it does. Did you see the one in the upstairs hall? No, we haven't been up there yet. Jeffy took Breeze's hand and pulled. Oh, you have to come up and see it. I don't want to leave you with the impression that I'm all goth or something. Gasping, she stopped suddenly and looked down at the hand she held. Puzzled, Breeze looked into Jeffy's face. Is something wrong? Joey had been standing silently watching his sister interact with his girlfriend, and he spoke up now, dreading what she might say. Jeffy, maybe it's something you want to speak to me about privately. She tore her gaze away from Breeze and took a deep breath and smiled at Joey. Oh, no, it's nothing. She suddenly hugged Breeze. I'm just so happy you brought Breeze home to meet us. I just like her so much already. Joey breathed a sigh of relief. He supposed he should have warned Breeze that his sister, along with all her other qualities, had certain psychic abilities. At first, they'd come on her in little ways, a feeling of dread or knowing that something good was about to happen. Then, as she became an adolescent, she began to have uncontrollable, vivid visions of events in the future, some quite disturbing. As she matured, she was able to get a grasp on the control part of it and found that if she tried, she could take someone's hand and see glimpses of possibilities. Jeffy didn't call it their future or their destiny. She called it their possibilities or probabilities because free will was always a factor. He was dying to know what she'd just now seen that brought her up short like that. He'd have to grill her later. As they moved upstairs to see Jeffy's painting, Joey sincerely hoped all was quiet down at his parents' end of the hall. Oh, this is magnificent, Breeze exclaimed as she examined the large painting, another abstract. I love the colors. Jeffy watched her face. What does it make you think of? Jeffy, that's not fair putting her on the spot, Joey reprimanded. No, that's okay, Breeze said quickly. I'd like to see how close I am to what she intended. She drew a deep breath. I see a storm is over. It came on quickly. It changed the world to darkness for just a moment, but left just as fast. And once it was gone, the world seemed brighter, more colorful, full of love and hope. That's it, Jeffy said softly, her voice full of emotion. That's exactly it. She hugged Breeze. Breeze is an artist herself, Joey said. Well, no wonder you understood so completely, Shelley interjected as she and Eric came out of their room and joined them. What do you paint? Nature, mostly. I truly love to paint. It's my absolute bliss. You should see the one hanging over her bed. Shelley smiled as Breeze began to blush. Do you have any pictures of your paintings? I have a few on my phone, and I have a website, not that anyone ever visits it. Let's go to the study and investigate, Eric suggested. Oh, Breeze said. Well, you certainly don't waste any time, do you? Eric smiled. I try not to. They moved downstairs and surrounded Breeze in the study while she pulled up her website. Once she pulled up her gallery, she stood and walked away while everyone studied her paintings. She pretended to look over the books on the shelves but couldn't concentrate. Why did Joey even mention it? No one was saying anything. She was afraid to even look over at them. Her paintings must be so bad that they don't know what to say. Breeze, Jeffy finally said. Oh my goodness, you are magnificent. Breeze wrung her hands together. Oh, I wouldn't go so far as that. Well, I would, Shelley said. Your paintings actually take my breath away. Really? You are really good, Eric confirmed. Truly an artist. She is, Joey said. He pointed to one. This is the one that's over her bed. The computer really doesn't do it justice. You need to see it in person. Oh, Mom, you really must buy one of her paintings. Look at that one. Wouldn't that pond scene look wonderful over the dining room table? Jeffy asked. Oh, I absolutely agree, Shelley said. What's the going price on these? Well, I don't know. I've never sold one. I've never even shown anyone other than my family and a few close friends. I mean, if you really want one, you can just have it. I'd be honored to have it hanging in your home. Nonsense, Shelley said quickly. Your paintings are exquisite. They should be on public display in a gallery. You should have a showing. That's what I said, Joey put in. He smiled down at Breeze, noting her frown. What's the matter, Breeze? I don't know. It's just that, what if, well, what if they do get hung in a gallery for a show, and what if no one likes them? What if? Then you're right back to where you started, huh? Just painting for yourself. And there is certainly nothing wrong with that, but what if people really do like them? Wouldn't it make you feel good to share your art with the world? Well, yes, of course it would. Joey turned to Eric. How hard would it be to hook Breeze up with a gallery? Well, not hard at all. I have a friend who owns a gallery. Of course you do, Shelley said, clapping her hands together. Your friend could take a look at Breeze's work and let her know if she's ready for a show. I mean, it wouldn't hurt to ask, right? Never hurts to ask, Eric said. And it wouldn't hurt to let him know that I just purchased one of her paintings for $5,000, could it? I imagine that wouldn't hurt a bit, Eric said, smiling at the expression on Breeze's face. $5,000? Are you kidding? Bree said. Certainly not, Shelley said with a grin. And I'll be getting a deal because once these paintings show, they'll be worth a lot more than that, I guarantee you. Joey shrugged. Well, looks like that little item is taken care of. What do you say, Breeze? Are you willing to take a chance? Do you believe in yourself enough to put it out there? Breeze looked from face to face. This family was definitely not one to reckon with. And I do love to paint, she thought, and I believe I'm pretty good at it. Believe being the operative word. Finally, she nodded. I think I'd like to see how my work measures up. Oh, yay, Jeffy crowed loudly. This is wonderful. I just know you're going to be a huge success. She hugged Breeze. Let's go in the kitchen and celebrate. Oh, she stopped, reached into her pocket and pulled out her cell. Dr. Kino, she stated firmly. Yes? Yes? Who's on call? No. I'm on my way. Breeze couldn't help but feel dizzy at the sudden change in demeanor. The girl that a moment ago seemed like a child was suddenly a complete professional, a doctor who'd been called on to save someone's life. Jeffy tucked her phone away. I'm sorry, I have to leave. A little boy was hit by a car. There are some neurological problems, and they'd like to consult with me before surgery. It was nice to meet you, Breeze. Mom, Dad, Joey. Love you guys. Breeze watched as the young girl rushed out the door of the study. Sorry, Shelley said. It happens all the time. It seems they can't live without her at that hospital. She seems to be a most incredible young lady. Oh, she is. She says one day she's going to save the world. She said it so many times that I've begun to believe her, Shelley sighed. Would you like some lunch? Maybe in a little while, Joey answered. I think we'd like to take a walk on the beach first and maybe take a swim, and then we'll eat some lunch. And after that, we need to go over to Bella's house and help her with some chores. Oh, well, isn't that sweet of you? Okay, you kids go play. Eric and I will make you up something delicious. Joey kissed his mother's cheek. You're the best. He turned and took Breeze's hand, noting her furrowed brow. Is everything okay? Bree smiled at him and nodded. Oh, yes, it's just that, wow, every minute with your family is like a ride on a roller coaster. Joey grinned. Yeah, but some people describe it more like being hit by a train. Come on, let's go play. And that is the end of chapter 7.